Alright. Here we are. Hey, Chidarin! Right. I don't even need to check my things that I'm live. I just need to pay attention to chat and Chidarin will say hi and I'll know. Everything is fine. Hi. Okay. Tea party is next, right? Alright. Let's see. October 5th. Okay. Hey, Mikhail, how are you? Okay. Clearly, one day has passed, alright. I don't have a clue what to make of all this. That's a lot of time, yeah. Please, someone explain what happened yesterday in a way that I can understand. Hey Bea, how are you? I continued helping ourselves with the food in the mansion's kitchen. That massive commercial refrigerator had everything. I could eat and drink as much as I liked. Hey there. Ay. I'd have more than enough to eat even if the typhoon didn't clear up for a week. This is creeping me out. This is it? Okay, everyone is so excited. I'm creeped out. Great sign for the beginning of stream. We're onto something here for sure. With a bottle in one hand, half of which I'd already drunk, I helped myself to some sliced ham. I wonder just how expensive this stuff is. Man, you ingredients are out of luck. If only you'd had Goda-san cook you, you could have been reborn as much more incredible food. I looked at the clock. Very soon it would be midnight. October 5th, the second day, would end. The insanity of yesterday's October 4th didn't seem real. That was how little had happened after my so-called test. Nothing was happening. No phone calls, no letters. No one coming to see me, no one coming to attack me. Oh god, this is so creepy in a completely different way than all the brutal murders. If I had the formal black suit, I'd be wearing it right now, chain on, locked in Umineko greatness. Okay, right. Not a goddamn thing. Give me back all the time and energy I wasted being on edge. An entire day, a full 24 hours, yeah. Real greatness on next stream. It's always the next stream that has the thing. And absolutely nothing happened. And I'm sure that nothing will continue to happen as well. A full 24 hours ago, I was called to the front of the mansion by Beatrice. It's always greatness, I guess. I guess that's also one way to put it. Non-stop greatness, I guess. There I was given some kind of weird test to do with determining the successor to the head or something. I gave a serious answer in my own way, but unfortunately we just didn't seem to be getting each other. Beatrice got bent out of shape for no reason and stopped talking to me. I yelled at her to say something, but she wouldn't say a word. Then I asked where Maria was, and she just told me to go to the chapel and went away. What an astounding anticlimax. Stupid as it was still a test, so at least tell me whether I've passed or failed, for hell's sake. Clearly we have failed. Hey, Patchface Beats. What, is she trying to say good work, your results will be mailed to you later or something? Annoying bitch. Oh lord, in any case, I then headed to the chapel. Both George, Aniki and Jessica had been killed after failing their tests. I couldn't let Maria be killed too. Besides, I thought this could be a chance to catch whoever it was while they were in the process of trying to kill Maria. When I was young, Jessica often told me that I'd get in trouble if I went near the chapel. So I'd never been there, but I at least knew where it was. I couldn't sense anyone there, but there was a bundle of keys lying in front of the door. I thought this might be a message to open the door to the chapel, but after trying all of the keys I found that none of them fit. I also called Maria's name, but there was no answer whatsoever. I searched around the chapel, but there was a limit to what I could do in the pitch black with just a flashlight. I realized that this key bundle might be a set of master keys, which could possibly open the door to the mansion. Finding no sign of Maria, I returned to the mansion. The mansion was wrapped in silence, and in a horrible stench. Oh god. Still, it's pretty amazing how good humans are at adapting. Technically, that smell was still pervading the entire mansion, but I'd grown completely used to it and stopped minding it by this point. Oh, this is so creepy. It didn't feel like anything more than any old house where someone had burnt some meat. The stench knocked me back on first entering, but I ignored it and decided to head to the dining hall. Not the dining hall though. Bad choice. Where I found all those corpses that were in such a sorry state that Goda-san and Kumasawa-san had hesitated to speak of them in any detail. They were the remains of the very first victims, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest. I mean, your dad too, right? Each of them had half of their head dramatically splattered out, and it was such a gruesome sight that even without knowing a thing about examining corpses, I could pronounce them 100% dead. And on top of that, the remaining half of their faces were left like normal, so it was even easy to identify them. They'd really pulled out all the stops for these corpses. And finally, the bodies here weren't just the 6 of the first twilight. They had grown in number and now included one more. Oh no. It's not that I was expecting something different, but it's also not like it hurts less just because I was expecting it. Ugh. The 7th corpse was Maria. She was lying next to Aunt Rosa as though sleeping alongside her. I cried. At the death of an innocent young girl. And at the cruel way my dad and the others had died. I ran about the mansion swinging my hat-stand spear, yelling, "Come out here, you bastard." I can imagine that. But there was absolutely no sign of anyone else. Thinking that they might be hiding somewhere and scheming to attack me from behind, I went around searching for possible hiding places. Sometimes being cautious, sometimes intentionally letting my guard down, trying all kinds of things. But in the end, not so much as a kitten appeared. Then morning came. My tension and fatigue mixed together with my drowsiness made for the worst kind of dawn. I don't know, I guess. Technically, Beatrice didn't really, order the murders. Mostly. At least from the way it was shown to us. It was Kinzo who started it all, right? It was mostly him this episode. Anyway. Usually we'd be dead. First time we ever saw this fire, yes, usually we'd be dead. It's true. I think that's also what makes it even creepier. The whole setting, there being nothing happening, the bodies being bodies, and it being so far advanced into the timeline that I don't know what to do with myself. Okay, I'll just read. Humans are pretty incredible. Even though I didn't know where the hell the murderer was hiding, I was prioritizing drowsiness and fatigue over worrying for my own life. By this time, I was starting to feel pretty ridiculous. I had walked around the mansion for a full 6 hours until dawn broke, yelling at them to show themselves. I had done a painstaking search, tired myself out, and even let my guard down. Still, no one was coming to attack me. And so at that point I just said, screw it, do whatever you want. The boat wouldn't come until the typhoon passed. They were saying on TV that it wouldn't pass until tomorrow, so I had a whole day to waste. Oh, God. The idea of just lazing about didn't seem very appealing, so even though I knew it would probably make the police mad, I decided to play detective a bit. First, the dining hall, where the very first murders occurred. Okay. I'll try to ease into it. Let's see. The 6 who were killed in the beginning really were pitiful to look at. The weapon was probably a gun. Maybe their heads were split by something powerful like a magnum bullet or a shotgun. Shotgun was what I was about to say too. That seemed like valid reasoning. So the way they died is looks at least consistent with having been shot, as opposed to magic unseen arrows flying about. Okay. Yeah, finally. In comparison, Maria, who was the 7th body, okay, had died in a far better and cleaner way, okay, which is that. At a glance, there were no external wounds, and it wasn't clear how she had been killed. But there were signs that bubbles had been foaming from her mouth. And it looked like a typical death by poisoning that you might see on a TV drama. Wasn't Maria called out to the chapel and given her test there? Then why is she here in the corpse-filled dining hall, lying next to her mother, dead? Assuming that the cause of death was poison, who gave it to her? Her clothes aren't disturbed at all. It's hard to imagine that she was forcibly pushed down and given an injection of poison. It's probably better to assume that she was given a poison capsule or something and made to swallow it. I'm imagining far worse things, like Maria and her delusion actually thinking that it is a good thing to forsake her own life and just taking it willingly. But okay. That said, compared to the violently mutilated corpses scattered about this room, Maria's corpse was far too clean. With a gun, all you need to do is pull the trigger, but poison, whether injected or made to be swallowed, would take a lot more effort. Bearing in mind the culprit's brutal nature too, I felt that Maria's death alone had clearly been given special treatment. Why was Maria alone given a sleep-like death? She was killed, so in that sense I still felt sorry for her. There can be no doubt about that. But for some reason, the manner of Maria's murder in particular seemed very courteous to me. Maria had her hands joined on her chest in the way that the dead often do. Did Maria do that herself before dying? Isn't this usually something done by someone else after the person dies? Maria was resting in peace as though sleeping together with her mother, whose head was half crushed. For some reason, the contrast really bugged me. There are probably a lot of mysteries surrounding Maria's death, starting with the cause. And more than anything else, the biggest mystery of this dining hall was the pitfalls. The pitfalls that both Uncle Krause's group and Gola-san's had mentioned. After the 6 had been killed, 5 more had fallen through pitfalls and been captured. What are pitfalls? Those things that suddenly open and you fall through them, right? The floor was firmly laid with a majestic, if a bit worn out, carpet. It was clearly a single piece. If pitfalls are meant to open up in it, there would have to be a seam in that one place. And anyway, if there was some trick like a pitfall, wouldn't it creak when you walked on it? No matter how much I walked over or ran my hands over the carpet, I just couldn't imagine that the pitfall was hidden here. In the first place, it would be one thing if a single person had fallen, but it was a full 5 people. From what I could piece together from all their stories, each one of them had fallen from a different location, so at the very least there had to be 5 separate places concealing pitfalls. So what does this mean? Was this room actually made with pitfalls across the entire floor, so that with a single button press you could open up a pitfall in the location of your choice? Some kind of contraption like that? That kind of ridiculous mechanism would be surprising even in a ninja mansion. Yeah, I feel like that's... like we're overthinking it. That it's not that, and maybe it's not literal pitfalls. But even so, if Dad and the rest heard about this, maybe they'd say, I wouldn't put it past Grandfather. You bet he'd do this, he'd make this. In any event, I didn't learn anything more than that from the dining hall. Do the pitfalls not exist? Or do they exist, but I just can't find them, amateur that I am? I can't say for sure. Since they claim that the pitfalls were there, I can't ignore the pitfalls even if I can't find them. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know why I have this feeling in my gut that it's not really that conclusive if pitfalls exist or not. But okay. The next ones to be killed had been Jessica and George Aniki. Ah, this music, why? It contributes to the creepy atmosphere even more. I'd already discovered George Aniki when I was called out for my test. He was called out to the arbor in the rose garden and shot in the forehead, probably with a gun. Thank you for the visuals. It's not like I didn't remember them. I remember them very well. Great. As for Jessica, she was called to her own room on the second floor of the mansion. I found the door to her room locked, but that wasn't a problem at all since I had the master keys. And the inside of the room was horrible. But the corpse was nothing I hadn't already familiarized myself with in the dining hall, so I built up a bit of an immunity. The phone receiver was dangling off the hook. Was she killed while on the phone with me? Jessica was leaning against the wall right next to it, with half of her head splattered out. As far as I could tell by looking at the scene, it looked as though she had been killed while on the phone. In that case, had the culprit been there before her eyes? I hadn't gotten that impression from Jessica's voice over the phone. I'm pretty sure Jessica said, "They got me." It's probably best to assume that she had already received a fatal wound at the time of the phone call. That's right. And she also said this.
バトラーが来た時には、私は頭を半分ぶちまけた死体だよ。
Yes, she definitely said that. From what I could tell by looking at Jessica's corpse, there were no wounds on her other than the damage to her head. Then, she was injured seriously enough that she steeled herself for death, and then died halfway through the phone call. But it feels like with the way she was talking on the phone, she was out of danger for the time being. You shouldn't be able to have a casual conversation over the phone if the killer is right in front of you. So did the culprit come part way through the phone call and kill her? No, that can't be right. After all, this room was locked. No, like hell that counts for anything. If the culprit had stolen the master key from one of the victims, the fact that it was locked is meaningless. But there are no external wounds other than her head. In which case, should I assume the fatal wound she was prepared to die from and the actual wound that destroyed her head were two different events? Both of them made to the same part of the body? My head is spinning. In other words, Jessica was struck severely to the head and received an incredibly bad wound. Then she called me and either lost consciousness or died while on the phone. Then the culprit came and destroyed her head for real, or something. After being called to this room, Jessica was attacked by the culprit and seriously injured. And the culprit thought they'd killed her and went away for the time being. But then Jessica miraculously started breathing again and called me with the literal dying message. Then the culprit realized that they had failed in killing her and rushed back to deliver the final blow to Jessica, who had lost consciousness from massive blood loss. That seemed to make sense more or less. Except for how Jessica was able to accurately predict the form of that final blow. The eerie scene of the off-screen sights made my skin crawl. Everything is making my skin crawl. It's been crawling for 20 minutes since we started the stream, so... And this particular piece of music makes it even worse. And there was one more thing that bugged me about the phone call from Jessica. Jessica said this.
正真兄さんもダメだった。ありゃ即死だ。
She said it almost as though she had witnessed George Aniki being killed. But while you certainly could see the rose garden from the window in Jessica's room, the arbor that George Aniki had been called out to was very far away. You could only just make out the roof. Add on the fact that it was the night of a typhoon, and it's very hard to imagine that she was able to witness everything that happened by the arbor from this window. And most important of all, Jessica left before George Aniki. So she shouldn't have known that George Aniki's death had taken place by the arbor. How did Jessica know that George Aniki had been killed? Then, in the course of my search of the entire mansion, I found Kirie-san's corpse as well. She was in an old guest room tucked away on the first floor. This was where all of us relatives used to stay before the guest house was built. The situation with Kirie-san was just like Jessica's. She was probably killed during her phone call with me. The receiver was hanging untidily, and Kirie-san was collapsed beside it. But the way she had been killed was very different from Jessica. Her head wasn't smashed. Instead, something like a stake with an occult-like design was buried into her forehead. It was too gruesome for me, so I pulled it out. I get it, and also, I don't know if pulling it out makes it better. Oh, this sound effect, God. I will be so happy the day I don't have to hear it again. Alas, that day is not anytime soon. It was only after pulling it that I realized that this might get me into trouble with the police later. So even though it was probably a little late now, I laid it by Kirie-san's side. Its tip was sharp and stained with enough blood that it must have penetrated fully to the brain. I didn't know what kind of metal it was made of, but it was about as heavy as a paperweight. Certainly, if you were stabbed all out with something like this, it might cause a terrible wound. I probably understood what the stake meant. Yeah, I know this. As the method of killing from the fourth twilight onwards in the witch's epitaph. That gouge with the stake and kill thing, probably. Does it say gouge with the stake in the epitaph? I feel like it says gouge the body part and kill, but okay. However, the human skull is very hard. Even with all one's strength, could you really pierce through it this sharply? No. The way I reasoned it, the stake wasn't the cause of death, it was just used to damage the corpse after death. She was probably killed by being shot with a gun or something, like George Aniki. And the stake was stuck into the hole left by the gun. Thinking about it that way, everything works out. But was Kirie-san really killed with a gun? She had said this on the phone as well. Kirie-san was under attack even though she was holed up inside the locked room. And this room actually was locked. And she had said something about a golden thread-like thing flying in through the keyhole and attacking her. And in fact, there were 4 places around Kirie-san's corpse with holes that could have been caused by some kind of attack. But still, a golden thread attacked her through the keyhole. I looked at the door from Kirie-san's perspective. They didn't even draw a keyhole on this one. Great. If it had been one of those old locks like you see in old mystery movies, where you can peek through to the other side, then you could understand that something might potentially have come through it. But even though the doors in this mansion were old-fashioned, the locks were the familiar average cylinder style that you could find in any normal house. I get it, it's just like the same image that's being reused over and over for the door. I just find it funny that we're specifically talking about the keyhole and how it could have been used, and the image we're seeing doesn't have a single thing, and it's zoomed in. Right? Like, there's no such thing there. But anyway, it's fine. In other words, there was no hole going all the way through by construction. So no matter how thin an object it might have been, it's impossible to imagine that it could have penetrated through the keyhole from the outside and attacked her. Cylinder lock. Keyhole. But Kiria-san had definitely said that something like a golden thread had flown in through the keyhole and spun around and around, aiming for her, attacking her. A golden thread attacking through the keyhole. I couldn't understand what it meant at all. Wait, actually, Kiria-san predicted that I probably wouldn't be able to understand all this. And not just Kiria-san. Jessica said it over the phone too. No, since the very beginning, from the time we talked with Goda-san and Kumasawa-san and got the phone call from Uncle Krause's group, everyone has been saying the same consistent thing. Grandfather is summoning witches and demons and killing people with magic. We witnessed it happening with our very own eyes. No tricks, no illusions. No choice but to believe it. They all said it with one voice. When that mysterious woman calling herself Beatrice appeared, even I pretty much believed that she was a real witch and might start summoning goat monsters right and left. However, after being left alone for a whole day, once my feeling of tension faded completely, I had the level enough head to think that this was way too stupid to possibly be true. In that extraordinary situation where their lives were exposed to danger, did they just lose their heads a little and mistakenly think that a witch was attacking them with magic? But multiple people testified to the same effect, and on top of that, none of their opinions contradicted one another. If it had been a single person's statement, I'd be able to suspect that they just didn't see what they thought they saw, but doing that now is pretty difficult. Then, right next to the black door, I found Uncle Kraus with his head half destroyed. Even though he'd escaped the dungeon of Kuadorian, and somehow made it out of the secret underground passage and all the way here, he was killed. Buried into the gruesome cross-section of his half-destroyed head was a stake with an occult design just like the one that was driven into Kiria-san's forehead. And in this situation it was very hard to imagine that the stake was the murder weapon. He was killed with a powerful gun like the 6 in the dining hall, and after death he was stuck with a stake like Kiria-san. I wonder if the golden threads that Kiria-san spoke of attacked Uncle Kraus too. Does there exist some kind of tool, like an endoscope, which is very thin but can be moved about at will, and that can also attack people? No way, I've never heard of anything like that. But even so, if I voiced a suspicion to one of my relatives, perhaps they would say I wouldn't put it past grandfather to make one. Since I can't refute the existence of a golden thread, X that can be moved at will and attack people, my only options are either to accept this completely incomprehensible weapon, or else to accept that these murders were committed with magic. To find the next corpse, I had to go out through the back door and search around outside of it. Behind the mansion, in the wild-grown bushes that were almost swallowed up by the forest, there was something like an old well. And right next to it were the corpses of Dr. Nanjo and Shannon-chan. Both corpses had their heads smashed. And there was a stake lying right next to each of their destroyed heads, though they weren't stuck in. All of the corpses were atrocious, but having to look directly at Shannon-chan's lovely face, half of which was blown off, was very painful. It's painful just to read about it, so yeah. Then there was the well, inside which I was told was a secret underground passage to the mysterious mansion Kuadorian. By this time I was beginning to think that Beatrice and her accomplices might have used this underground passage to leave for Kuadorian. There were supposedly 10 or more of these guys, and I hadn't seen hide nor hair of any of them. It made a hell of a lot of sense to think that they'd already escaped somewhere else. They had this typhoon to contend with. They couldn't go out to sea. Same for the forest. There was no way they could traverse such a deep, uncultivated forest on foot. In that case, there was only one place for them to go. The mysterious hidden mansion, Kuadorian. The secret underground passage at the bottom of the well. By this time, I had entirely lost my fear of being killed if I happened to come across the enemy. Screwing with me like this. This time, I'll march into your mansion.
なんだこりゃ。ちくしょう。
The old well had a firm cover on it. The cover was an iron grill. The gaps between the bars were perhaps 20 centimeters square. You could peer inside, but it really wasn't something a human could pass through. If I hadn't known better, I wouldn't have thought it to be anything more than a simple cover to protect against falling in. But from what Kiria-san had told me, I knew that it had been made to prevent intruders from entering the secret underground passage at the bottom. But the cover was fixed in place extremely firmly, and no matter how much I pushed or pulled, I couldn't even get close to removing it. I couldn't find any obvious lock. Maybe he was sealed by some mechanism, but no matter how much I investigated, I couldn't find anything to release it. The underground passage in this well is the biggest piece of information I had that Kiria-san gambled her last moments trying to tell me about.
こんな二程度で俺を阻めると思うんじゃねえぜ。こいつをぶち壊してやる。その道具を探そう。
I had an idea of where to get one, because I'd seen the various tools in the gardening shed where we locked Goda-san and Kumasawa-san. When we locked Goda-san and Kumasawa-san in there. Yeah, about that. But the shutter to the gardening shed was locked, yeah. On top of that, the key was with Goda-san, who was inside, dead. In other words, this gardening storehouse was a locked room. There was no way to open it from the outside. In that case, I would have to break the shutter. I wonder if there's a tool for that somewhere. It kind of felt like I was going in circles. Then, while searching for that, I learned that the source of the stench that had been permeating the mansion this whole time was the underground boiler room on... this again... The boiler room was dimly lit, humid, had a terrible stench, and on top of all that was incredibly creepy. You don't say, Battler, you don't say. But there were several large tools there, and I was able to find a fire hatchet and a massive bolt cutter. And grandfather's scoops too, of course. Of course. No, strictly speaking, I should probably say that I found the burned corpse of a person who was probably grandfather. Someone's corpse had been stuffed into the blazing fires of the boiler. However, by coincidence, I was able to notice the number of toes on the corpse. Yeah, the same story again. Kinzo's favorite place, yes. He does like to hang out there. Both feet had 6 toes. Good spot to chill. Yeah, actually, I might have heard that from Dad at some point long ago. Something about grandfather having polydactyly with extra toes. It was apparently an old Ushiromiya tradition for people with extra fingers or toes to be treated as a good omen, saying they had good fortune or something. Well, about that. Understandable. I like more places too. Extra toes sounds inconvenient. Yeah, I don't know how that works with shoes. Anyway, and that's why grandfather was selected to be the next head, or something along those lines. But I wonder if I can be certain this is grandfather's body just from the number of toes. As gruesome as it may sound, thank you for at least thinking in this direction and maybe noting something else of importance there that could be of use, other than the fact that it's a burnt corpse and it has 6 toes, which we've heard before. Oh, thank you so much for the 5 BTs. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. After all, grandfather was supposed to be the leader of the group of culprits. I don't have a clue why he'd be dead and stuffed in a boiler in a place like this. A mysterious corpse burning and belching out a terrible stench amid the flames. If it really was grandfather, did that mean that the leader of the group of culprits wasn't grandfather, but that Beatrice after all? Grandfather was used because he was convenient and was then thrown away at the end? Unfortunately, it didn't look like I'd be given a chance to hear grandfather's explanation. Now that I had obtained a tool, I thought about immediately taking on the cover to the well, but I decided to break the shutter to the gardening shed instead. First. Not instead, but first. To break the shutter. Okay, that's... okay. I had plenty of time to kill anyway. Not the best word choice in this situation, but okay. I thought I should check on the condition of Goda-san and Kumasawa-san's corpses. Okay. I hit the shutter with the hatchet, breaking into it. Stuck the bolt cutter into the crack, and scissored it around, opening up a hole. Oh my god. Ah, okay. The visuals again. I really could have... I would have been fine with the black screen, really. Yeah, I know, Lord Wu. I know. Sorry, I didn't read that. Then I came face to face with Goda-san and Kumasawa-san's corpses once more. As a result, I learned some new facts. First, they did not die by being hanged. Ah, okay. Interesting. Their feet were solidly on the floor, and both of their foreheads showed signs that they had been shot with a gun. Yeah. When I thought about what a normal noose was like, the ropes seemed considerably on the long side. On top of that, the length was different on each to match the height of each person. In other words, the lengths had been adjusted so that both Goda-san, who was tall, and Kumasawa-san, who was short, had their feet solidly but barely on the ground. Oh, that makes it so much worse. Also, while the ropes carried both of their weights as their heads lolled, both of them had some slack below their knees. This means that if they stood upright with these nooses around their necks, there would be some extra length. In other words, these ropes were a bit unsuitable to hang someone with. The direct cause of death was probably the shot to the head. It was gruesome. Their insides were still dripping out from those deep holes, staining their faces a deep red. Then they were hung up by their necks and left on display. That probably makes the most sense. If they were shot with a gun, they would probably have been lying down on the floor. If that had been the case, you wouldn't have been able to tell they were dead by peeking through the window. The mountain of stuff would have gotten in the way, so if they had been lying down, they would have been hidden. To make the deaths of these two known to the rest of us who couldn't get inside, they had to hang them like this so we could tell from the outside. As if just killing them wasn't bad enough, Was this to get back at us for thinking that the two of them would surely be safe if we left the key with them? I wonder where the shutter key we gave Goda-san, which should have ensured their safety, is now. That key was in his trouser pocket. The gardening shed key had been kindly left there, and even the tag was still attached. In other words, the gardening storehouse was a locked room after all. And that gave rise to another question, because this hanging was inexplicable. If they didn't commit suicide, then the nooses were set up by the culprit. It might have been possible to shoot them through the window, but I really can't imagine that someone could have tied two ropes to the beam from the outside. And on top of that, they would have had to lift up the heavy corpses. There's just no way. In other words, to do all of this, they would have had to go inside. But the key was in Goda-san's pocket, and the shutter was still locked. In other words, the gardening storehouse was a locked room. Goda-san had said that there was only one key for this shutter. But is it possible that there was a copy, and that the culprit was in possession of it? If we're allowed to theorize that there were actually multiple gardening storehouse keys, and that Goda-san just didn't know about them, then this isn't even close to a locked room. But why is that, despite the fact that almost all of the other corpses were shot to death and left almost completely alone, these two corpses alone were intentionally hoisted up? I couldn't help but feel something a bit odd about that. Assuming that the mystery corpse in the boiler was grandfather, the deaths of 16 people had not been confirmed. There were 18 people on this island. That there's me and 16 corpses. Kanonkun's corpse was the only one I hadn't been able to confirm yet. According to Kirie-san, he was killed while climbing out of the well and fell down into it. So with the well closed up like this, it was impossible to check. I tried shining a flashlight through the bars down into the darkness in the depths of the well. But it seemed that the jet black darkness had no intention of showing me its innermost depths with this inadequate light. It looked like I'd have to break the bars after all. Using the hatchets and things I dragged out of the boiler room and the gardening shed, I tried breaking the cover of the well. But the metal bars were extraordinarily sturdy and breaking them wasn't easy. I hit them with the hatchet over and over until my hands started to feel weird and eventually gave up on breaking them. It was impossible. If they were at least wood, I might have been able to break them. But it's metal. Yeah, there's no way you can slice through metal bars like butter with the human's strength. I can't even begin to understand that story about how Kanonkun cut through the metal bars. She told me that a light like a red laser beam grew out of his arm, and he used it to slice through the metal bars like a knife through butter. Cutting through metal bars like butter. And what's with the red laser beam? Does that mean he snuck in a burner or something? And use that to burn through the bars? Still, just what kind of laser could cut through metal bars like butter? It sounds exactly like the kinds of laser beams that showed up in those robot anime I loved as a kid. Does stuff like that actually exist? And how did Kanokun get that laser beam? As much as I want to ask him, he's already been killed. Plus, even his corpse is now at the bottom of the well beyond this cover. If Kanonkan managed to slice through those metal bars, I'm sure he could handle this metal cover in a single swing. It kind of feels like the locked room just now, with Goda-san locked inside the gardening storehouse holding the key. Only one person can open the door, but they're locked inside. If only I had that power of Kanonkan's, I could do something about this cover myself. Just who is Kanonkan? He couldn't really be any human being capable of using a strange power, right? Even Kirie-san told me to believe in witches. And I've also met an insane woman calling herself one. But Kanonkan possibly be a human on the witch side? Or else the culprit? What the heck? Am I gonna start treating him like the culprit just because I can't find his corpse?
ほう、死体がないだけで犯人扱い。疑わしきは白だとほざいたのは誰だったやら。よかろう。カノンに全ての犯行を押し付けて人間犯人説にされてはかなわぬ。わらわが赤にて保証する。カノンは死亡している。キリエたち5人の中で一番最初に死亡した。つまりは9人目の犠牲者というわけだ。
死体がない以上、カノン君が死亡しているとは断言できない。
わらわが赤でささやいたところで駒であるそなたには届かぬか。だがそなたには届いたよな。
Yeah, yeah, it reached us badly, Jay. Yeah, we're here, we're hearing you, it's fine. At a glance, this appeared to be a mass murder committed using something strange that could only be thought of as magic. Golden threads that attacked through keyholes. No, we even had testimony that something gold had flown around the dining hall during the first 6 murders. The two might have been the same weapon. Then there was a locked room murder of the garden shed and the laser beam that could cut metal bars. And that wasn't all. There was much more, like the group of goat monsters, the talk of a witch who could create pitfalls just by snapping her fingers, the rabbit-like demons who had fired golden threads. I think there were more, and each and every one of them was ridiculous. I couldn't possibly accept it and was forced to suspect that there was some kind of trick or a mistake. But why in the world had everyone spoken with one voice, saying the same thing without contradictions in their testimony? It's not only the magic. Maria's mysterious death. Jessica somehow knowing that George Anki had been killed. The mysterious burnt corpse, which I couldn't confirm actually belonged to my piece of shit grandfather. Oh, okay. And more and more. Oh god. I did not expect it. I don't know why. The controller vibrated with that, so it really scared me. I can see that I am on edge. This is so creepy. All stuff I just don't get. I tilted the bottle and glugged it down noisily. I didn't have a clue what was going on. After dinner last night, we kids were shooed out of the mansion and told to go back to the guest house. And then there was a massacre in the dining hall. Kitty-san and the rest were dropped through pitfalls and captured. Then Jessica and George and Nikki were called out to a test or whatever and killed. Kitty-san's group managed to escape the dungeon somehow, but all of them were killed in the end. At the very end, even Maria was killed, leaving me all alone. In short, I had done nothing except be locked up in the guest house. I don't have a clue what's going on, Battler. Yeah, and me too. Battler and me too. I'm there with him. I feel him. I don't know. This is all very crazy. So I'm gonna get drunk. I don't blame him. During that time, a huge incident had occurred and ended before I knew it. What could I call it except incomprehensible? I don't have a clue anymore.
もう俺はただの食欲魔人なんだぜ。俺だけ生き残らせるつもりかよ。とっとと姿を現して殺しに来いってんだ。もう面倒だからこっちからは探さねえぞ。そっちから正体を見せやがるってんだ。俺は逃げも隠れもしねえぞ。矢でも鉄砲でも持ってきやがれ。
I haven't had any sleep since yesterday and I'm tired as all get out. You wanna kill me, be my guest. I decided to return to the guest house and boldly rest on the bed. As I exited the kitchen and passed through the lobby, the portrait of the witch came into view. The big clock did too. At that very moment, it was exactly midnight. Oh god. Not creepy at all. At the sound of the bell proclaiming that it was midnight, and the sound of the bell proclaiming that it was midnight rang out. As I listened, I looked up at Beatrice's portrait. Exactly 24 hours ago, I met you. What were you trying to say to me? And where did you go? Read the profiles now? Okay. Okay. Everyone is red except Battler. Kinzo, discovered as a burnt corpse from the incinerator in the underground boiler room. As there were no signs that he fought to get out of the incinerator, it seems reasonable to think that he was burned after he was murdered. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes, the dead to the dead. Hey. Yeah. Kraus, corpse discovered in the vicinity of the mansion's back entrance. Back entrance. What's wrong with me? I know what's wrong with me. This is just has been a very creepy 50 minutes. And that's what's wrong with me. His head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that he was murdered with something like a powerful gun. A demon stake was rammed into the destroyed portion of his head. None can escape the Chester's golden arrows. Battle killed everyone. Umineko saw. Yeah, well. I don't think it's that easy. Corpse discovered in the dining hall. Her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was murdered with something like a powerful gun. However, the witnesses don't believe that she was killed with a gun. Right. Jessica. Corpse discovered in her own room on the second floor of the mansion. Her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was murdered with something like a powerful gun. Destroyed herself with her own strike with George's counterattack type barrier. That's a weird, convoluted sentence, but okay. It took me a bit to process that. Okay. Eva. Corpse discovered in the dining hall. Her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was murdered with something like a powerful gun. However, the witnesses don't believe she was killed with a gun. Hideyoshi. Maybe it's the same thing, right? Yeah, it's the exact same thing. Corpse discovered in the dining hall. His head was half destroyed. Blah, 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 blah. Witnesses don't believe that he was killed with a gun. Okay. George. Corpse discovered by the Rose Garden Arbor. There was a single hole right in the center of his forehead. It seems reasonable to think that he was shot with a gun or something. It was a brand of humiliation marking his loss to God. Okay. Dining hall again for Rudolph. Yeah, the same spiel as we saw for the others. Kirie. Corpse discovered in the guest room inside the mansion. There was a single hole right in the center of her forehead. It seems reasonable to think that she was shot with a gun or something. Butler just has his usual profile, yeah? Yeah, he does. Nanjo. Corpse discovered behind the mansion. His head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that he was shot with a gun or something. A demon stake was lying next to the corpse. Rosa. Corpse discovered in the dining hall. Her head was half destroyed. Blah, blah, blah. It's the same dining hall text. Maria. Corpse discovered in the dining hall. Unable to locate any notable external wounds, Battler speculated that it may have been some type of poisoning. The most peaceful method of inviting a person to the Golden Land. Yeah, but it's still murdering them, no matter how peaceful it is. Genji. In the dining hall, same spiel, yeah. Yeah. Eh? Ah, okay, sorry that I skipped. Okay. My bad. But I don't want to read it because I can't pronounce it, okay? You have the text, it's fine. I missed on purpose to torment her. Okay, fine, great, whatever. Okay. We did Genji, yeah. Same dining hall thing. Shannon, corpse discovered behind the mansion. Her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was shot with a gun or something. A demon stake was lying next to the corpse. The witnesses understand one thing at least. It was not the stake that killed her. Oh, canon. Battler could not discover his corpse. Killing him with magic is all very well, but without a corpse he will inevitably be suspect. Truly anti-fantasy. Which is why I guarantee his death with the red truth. Truly anti-mystery. Canon. Oh, interesting. No, no, I don't want. There are some things that I skip even if I'm supposed to read them because I don't want to. You can see the text on screen, it's there. Corpse discovered in the Rose Garden storehouse. For Goda. It is hypothesized that he was shot in the forehead and then strung up by his neck. They themselves put their necks in the nooses. They themselves put their necks in the nooses? It was an interesting experience to try on occasion. I have no idea what that means. I don't know. I think I've been exposed to too much Japanese media in terms of visual novels and anime and stuff that I have started reacting like I guess like anime characters in some situations, and then because you pointed it out the other day. Because he said something and I was confused. Oh, hey, thank you so much for the BTs. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. How are you? Yeah, he said something and I was confused and I did an eh? And he's like, dying of laughter. He's like, you sound like an anime character. I was like, okay, great. I didn't mean to. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm not doing those sounds. Right. Let's see. Kumasawa, what does it say for her? Corpse discovered in the rose garden storehouse. It is hypothesized that she was shot in the forehead and then strung up by her neck. As long as a locked room could be constructed, anything would have sufficed. As long as a locked room could be constructed, anything would have sufficed. What? Anything would have. No. I don't know what. That's just confusing text. Right. Anyway. I did the humans actually. Should I do someone else? Is there anything else here that it's interested in? Check. I guess they're the same. I guess they're the same. Right. Right. Yeah, so we were by the portrait. What were you trying to say to me, and where did you go? Just who in the world are you? Golden Witch Beatrice. I haven't solved a single one of the riddles surrounding you. Show yourself, and fight with me. Be careful what you wish for. Then the witch showed herself. Like a guest of honor finally appearing, she showed herself in the landing at the top of the big staircase.
ようやく姿を現しやがったな。
Okay, so now he's on this side of the flowery thingy. Oh my god, so confusing.
丸一日退屈させられてたところだぜ。
そうだ。丸一日を与えた。人間側の権利行使は十分か。
ああ、退屈だったんでな。存分にやらせてもらったぜ。
エンジェは良い駒であったな。
エンジェの名をお前が口にするんじゃねえ。
Okay, everyone is excited.
あれは奇跡によって現れ、自らを生贄にして、そなたに絶対の勝利の執念を与えた。
Through a miracle. Fitting. As she was brought by Bern. Beto really fueling the fire. When is she not? It's just Beto things at this point.
Enjeの名を口にするな。
あの無残な死は、そなたにとって必要なものだ。
Epic final battle time?
あの死を見なければ、そなたは本気にならん。エンジェの幸薄き未来を自覚しなければ、そなたに勝利の執念は生まれない。
エンジェの名を口にするなと言っている。
つまりは、必要な生贄だったというわけだ。そうでなくては、そなたにわらわを殺すほどの怒りは生まれぬ。わらわとそなたの拮抗が崩せる。ベルンカステル教名。これは駒ではないわ。切り札と呼ぶがふさわしい。駒はどれほど活躍しようと。 盤上を離れることはない。しかし切り札はどんな力を発揮しようとも切れは確実に捨てられる。エンジェはそなたにとって実に良き切り札だったのだ。
エンジェの名を口にするんじゃな。
At Battler's outburst of rage, Bat the finally stopped talking.
俺はな、こんなところで遊んでる暇はもう一切ねえんだ。引き分けすらもエンジェを待たせてる。俺はな、お前を打ち破り家族を連れて家にてめえと魔女ごっこで遊んでる暇は一秒たりともありはしない。
ならばどうすればよいか分かっている。
ああ、お前をぶっ倒す。魔女も魔法も幻想も妄想も全て俺がぶっ飛ばす。さあ追っ始めようぜ。もう二度とごまかさせない。ゲーム再開だぜ。お前という嘘っぱちを追う魔女のベールを俺が引き裂いてやる。
長いわ。素直に一言わらわを殺してやると言えばよい。
Ain't this the kettle calling the pot black? Is that the expression? I think that is. Beatrice telling Battler that he talks too much. Okay.
ああ、その言葉をお望みなら言ってやるさ。
Why does she want that though?
俺が聞いてやるお前の望みで最初で最後のものだ。
感謝する。
お前を殺す。
ならばよし、始めようぞバトラー。さあ魔女狩りの時間だ。わらわを追ってみろ、追い詰めてみろ、殺してみろ。わらわはそなたに期待している。妹の最後がそなたに何を与えたのか。
上等だ。
Battler's cry burned the word with a white light, and when one's eyes were opened to the brilliant light, the two of them could be seen in a rose garden.
先手はどちらから。
俺だ。
潔し。
Let's go, human team. I don't know if I have recovered enough to root for the human team again. I'm scraping by, just hanging in there. Epic music. Alright. The rose garden where beautiful rose petal danced. The color of those rose petals was red. Was that a proof or simply a claim that the two of them facing each other in this beautiful rose garden was the red and only truth? That must be why the roses are red. But in the language of flowers, roses are passion, not truth. The flower for truth is a forget-me-not. That flower is blue.
俺の青き真実で全てをうがつ。
I gotta say, it's a little, it's interesting. Blue is my favorite color, so let go.
全ての一番最初のゲームから始めるぜ。
よかろう。そなたのお手並みを拝見しよう。来い。
行くぜ。すでに宣言済みだが、もう一度言う。こいつは前回のゲームの南條先生の殺人だけじゃないぜ。一番最初からのあらゆるゲームのあらゆる場面を切り裂ける。後宮金蔵はすでに死亡している。よって島の本当の人数は17人。そこに未知の人物 X が加わることで、この人物 X の存在の過程によって17人全員にアリバイがあっても犯行は可能になる。これにより人間の数18人を満たしつつ にもかかわらず、意見18人全員にアリバイがあっても、犯人 X の存在と犯行は可能になる。
You can break through all of the murders in episode 1 by supposing an unknown person X. It's the best moment of the novel, save for the crows versus goat fight. Okay, I get it. You knew it was coming, so you are hyped for it. What I feel is caution. I'm just looking and trying to absorb what's being unfolded, but I'm not getting too excited about anything because, sorry. Experience has taught me getting excited about anything is bad, so just caution and moderation. Okay, sorry. I may have. Did I skip something? No. You can break through all of the murders in episode 1 by supposing an unknown person X. Furthermore, it is even possible to explain the mystery of Kinzo's evaporation from the locked room sealed by the receipt by making the bold assumption that Kinzo wasn't there from the beginning. Unless Beato countered this with the red truth, the witch illusion of episode 1 would be completely smashed. The blue truth was valid. Oh, wow, what's happening? Battler will slay a whole dragon on this one. Okay. Your favorite moment is sign? You mean at the end of episode 3? Am I thinking about the right thing? Or... That's a favorite moment? It was so creepy. Oh. Your favorite one is in the answer arcs, alright. I guess we'll get there eventually, sometime in this life. Right, so the wedge of blue truth that Battler had released stabbed right through the top of Bato's left foot. Was the red blood that poured out from there her defense in the red truth? Beato shut one of her eyes tight, enduring the unbearable pain from the wedge of blue truth that denied her. See, this is the thing that gives me pause and weird feelings. Because while I do want to get to the bottom of this and understand what happened, and I am on Battler's side and I don't like Beatrice, this whole thing is spinning the winning of the game as him eventually killing her and now inflicting pain on her is not really something that I vibe with. So it's hard for me to be hyped about it, but okay. Let's see where this goes.
だが、まだまだわらわは否定されてはおらぬ。殺されてはおらぬ。
That Virgilia sprite is a nightmare fuel for life. It is. It is, for sure.
この程度では足りぬわ。続くゲームでは、それだけで説明できる謎があるぞ。
どの謎だ？
第2のゲームの終盤で、ジョージがゴーダとシャノンを引き連れ、夏日の部屋に立てこもり殺された。夏日の部屋を解錠した鍵は室内に閉じ込められ、残る全ての解錠可能な鍵はローザの手にあった。犯人 X が存在しようとも密室構築は不可能なはず。
I don't know. I don't want to deny you, Small Blue Gem. If you feel a certain way, or if anyone feels a certain way that's different from me, that's fine. It's just... Even if the opponent is evil, that doesn't mean that these are the means by which I feel comfortable going about it. If that makes sense. Denying her existence will be painful. Okay. I see what you mean, that's in a metaphorical sense, but the way it's being portrayed, it's just, okay, fine, fine. Fine, let's keep going. The blue wedge piercing Beato shook. She was resisting, fighting to push it out.
いいや、俺の青き真実は揺るがない。
Yeah, I understand. That's the thing that was thrown at us last time, that she wants to die. Please kill me fast, or whatever the things were splashed on the screen. Okay, I don't know where that's coming from, but okay.
犯人 X がマスターキーを入手していれば、あれは密室でも何でもないんだ。
いや、入手は不可能だぞ。マスターキーすべてはローザが管理した。
だがローザおばさんが共犯であったなら何の意味もない。ローザおばさんは犯人 X に何らかの方法で鍵を渡し、密室殺人を幇助した。そしてその後同様の方法で鍵を回収したんだ。甘いぜベアート。こんなのは当時の俺もすでに推理している。
そうであったな。
The wedge that had been gradually losing its brilliance and seemed as though it was about to come out regained its strong blue again thanks to Battler's additional blue truth and dug into battle again, eating into her foot. Very violent sport. No, it's not. Battle let out a moan of anguish and the pain of it.
まだだ。まだ答えぬ。まだだ。
Hey, Tostators.
まだだ。
I guess.
さらに続けて第3のゲームだ。
I have the feeling that any time in Umineko is a hype time or a good time or something important or heightened happening. So yeah.
6連結の連鎖密室。ローザおばさんとマリアの殺人。親父たちのホールでの死亡。クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんの殺人。
Or a pain time, yeah.
その全てはエヴァおばさんを犯人に仮定することで説明可能だ。これは当時すでに論破済み。それに対しお前がエヴァを通して出題してきた最後の難題、南條先生殺しも18人目の未知の人物 X で説明可能。これで第3のゲームまで全て打ち破ったぞ。
無論。
Oh, oh, that's so sweet that you're relaying that. That's so nice. I hope whatever is not keeping him busy. I don't know. Whatever he's doing in real life, I hope it goes well, smoothly. Fingers crossed. All of my good wishes to him if you talk to him.
この程度で答えはせぬわ。ならばゲストハウスからのジョージの失踪はどう説明するというのか。赤き真実を追加しよう。ジョージはゲストハウスの階段を降りてはおらぬ。
Ah, when he went through the window, I was wondering, wait, how did George disappear? What was happening there? What was the context? It feels like it was a lifetime ago. Yeah. Okay, going through the window, got it.
窓から飛び去ったのだ。
There it was. In the final stages of the third game, George suddenly vanished from the second floor of the guest house. Eva, who had been on the first floor, claimed that no one had come downstairs. But if, as the Blue Truth claimed, she had carried Kraus and his corpses outside, there was the possibility that George could have secretly gone downstairs during that gap in time and escaped. But by adding on to the Red Truth, Beato had disproven that. To go outside without going down the staircase to the first floor, he would have had to leave by the window. But all of the windows were locked from the inside.
だからなんだ。お前の言葉通りだぞ。窓から飛び去ったんだろ。下へ飛び降りても芝生じゃわからないし。あの大雨だ。多少の痕跡なんて消えちまう。
赤き真実を外部へ通ずる窓も扉も全て内側より施錠されていたぞ。しかもそれらの施錠は全て外側からは不可能。
So someone locked it back. I don't know.
ジョージには施錠する術はない。
青き真実を繰り返当時の俺も言っているぜ。ならばジョージの兄貴が窓より脱出後誰かがそれを施錠すればいい。何も難しいことはない。
この程度であがけぬかあがけぬか。
Beto couldn't remove the blue wedge that was buried into her foot. The fake witch was burned more and more by the strong blue.
第3のゲームまでの全てにおいて青き真実は未だ揺るがない。ならばお前が魔女であることを証明する唯一のゲームは今回の第4のゲームだけってことになる。
わらわが赤き真実にて反撃していない以上そういうことになろう。この度のゲームでのみ魔女を証明せねばなるまいな。よかろう、存分に来るがよい。
食堂の6人殺しについて不審な点はない。18人目の X が銃を乱射してみんなを殺した。落とし穴については実際に落とし穴が本当に隠されていた可能性もあるし、桐江さんの仮説である瞬時に混沌させる毒矢の発射装置 X の過程でも説明可能。ジョージの兄貴ジェシカ、そして地下牢から脱出したメンバーの殺害も食堂と同じで銃によるもの。
Unknown person X going wild.
不審な点はない。だが分かってるぜ、反撃があるんだろ。来いよ。
そなたの最大の刃である18人目の X は金蔵がすでに死んでいるとの仮説に立脚している。そう来ることはわらわも分かっている。だから金蔵を書斎より出した。その金蔵を親族会議の全員が迎えたぞ。
Well, we were also told that Battler is not Battler, so maybe Kinzo is not Kinzo.
親族会議に居合わせた全員が金蔵の存在を認めた。
そうだな。だがじいさまはずっと視線をさまよって寝込んでいた重病人ってことになってるぜ。やつれてて別人に見えちまってもみんな気にしないかもな。俺はこう返す。そのじいさまは別人の替え玉だ。
Interesting.
親族たちがじいさまと見間違えた別人だ。
ならばわらわはこう返す。すべての人物は後宮金蔵を見間違わない。いかなる変装であったとしても後宮金蔵を見間違わない。
Do not mistake him by sight. What is that supposed to mean? I feel like there's word gymnastics for something.
ならばこう返す。お前は第1のゲーム時では5本以上存在することになっていたマスターキーの本数を第2のゲーム時に赤き真実で5本と宣言することで以後のゲームの設定変更を行っている。同じことで第4のゲームにおいて金蔵の生死の設定が変更されている可能性がある。よって第4のゲームの金蔵の存在をもってそれ以前のゲームでの金蔵の存在を証明することにはならない。よって食堂での6人殺しはじいさまが自ら執行したと仮定しても何の矛盾も生じない。
ならばこう返そうぞ。4つのゲーム開始時の金蔵の静止設定は全て同一である。
Ooh, at the start. At the start.
第4のゲームのみ設定が異なることはない。
副賞要求。各ゲームの開始時に金蔵は生存している。
復唱拒否。 答えぬよバトル。わらわはそなたに望まれて赤き真実を答えはせぬ。
くそ、じじいめ。俺の前に立ちふさがりやがる。我が最愛の魔女ベアトリーチェを守るために体を張ってやがるってのか。
My goddamn granddad wavered in division. Is he trying to be some kind of knight blocking the way between me and Beato?
バトラーよ、お前にこのわしが超えられるかな。至らせぬ、至らせはせぬよ、黄金の魔女の高みにはな。お前の浅はかな推理など私一人を超えることもできぬわ。死ねえ。
Oh, wow, that's... Ah, okay, interesting. Using that crazy eye sprite for this, I guess, was the cherry on the cake. So creepy. Kinzo's jet black cape spread as though it would swallow the world, becoming the snout of a vast black dragon, which came at me, trying to swallow me in one mouthful. As I faced the roaring of the black dragon, I calmed my breathing and closed my eyes.
お前なぞ一息に飲み込んでくれるわ。消え去れ、未熟者め。
黙りな、死に損ないの亡霊め。
ほう、わしを亡霊呼ばわりしてみせるか。あくまでもわしはすでに死んでおるとする仮説を貫くか。それがお前の命取りよ。第4のゲームの第1の番にて闇に飲み込まれて消え去るがよい。
The black dragon's vast mouth, its snout, its fangs, threatened to swallow Battler whole. And that instant Battler suddenly opened his eyes.
ありがとうよ、ベアトリーチェ。お前の第3のゲームが俺の反撃の足がかりとなる。
何？
あばよ、クソじじい。こいつでお別れだぜ。俺は金蔵死亡説が第4のゲームでも主張できる根拠として以下の仮説を提唱する。
よかろう、存分に来るがよい。我が末裔よ。
My descendant.
行くぜ、クソじじい。金蔵の名は後宮家当主の称号として引き継がれているという仮説だ。後宮金蔵はすでに死んでいる。そしてその名を誰かが継承した。全員が承認した。それにより親族会議に居合わせた全員が金蔵の存在を認めた。じいさまの変装をする必要さえもないのさ。一同が新しい金蔵を認めたのだから、よって見間違えるわけもない。以上の仮説が否定されない限り、お前が死んでいるという事実はこれでとどめだぜ。クソじじい、お前に復讐要求だ。全人物の中で異なる複数の名前を持つ人物は存在しない。
できんな。
安らかに眠りな、クソじじい。感謝しろよ。お前やっと死ねたんだぜ。こいつが引導だ。食らってくたばりな。
Yeah, it's a weird way to
後宮
phrase
金
it.
蔵はすでに死亡している。
Not one person had multiple names. Yeah, no, but I caught those parts.
そうさ、あんたは気の毒だよな。その死体が見つかる場合、いつも丸焼けだ。
That is true though.
それは死後が経過している死体であることを悟られないための工作なのさ。 そしてその名を誰かが受け継いだ。以上の仮説でてめえは死亡しているにもかかわらず金蔵は親族会議に登場することができる。どうだよ、これだ、チェックメイトだ。
Several dozen blue stakes bored into Kinzo's ghost. Their terrible destructive power would never permit the ghost to recover.
あと
This has some new animations than the version I read. Oh, nice. Well, we're glad you get to see them now.
今日までありがとう。
Gotta get the battery chain one last time, as of course.
安らかにそなたとの日々を忘れぬ。
Dispersing along with the shadow of the black dragon as golden flower petals scattered, Shinomiya Kinzo became a gold-colored cyclone and disappeared. Aww. Yeah. It's so surprising to me that, like, this had to be put together by fans. But if this were available to purchase, I would buy it in a heartbeat. So why don't you want my money, people who make this novel? Who take care of it, whatever publisher, whatever company thing. I don't know. Anyway. This should be the PS3 version. Yeah, I guess, but like, they would need to remake the game. No matter the price, it would be a great bargain considering the amount of hours you sink in. Yes, exactly. I would gladly. I mean, I own the Steam version, right? Because I wouldn't. I don't have it within me to stream something that I pirated, right? So I do want to own whatever I am streaming, and I have had so far. I was actually just using the Steam versions of the visual novels that I streamed. But for this, I bought the Steam one just for like to contribute, you know, like pay my dues. But I was advised by Bea in chat to not play that and play this, and I didn't know what the difference was. I knew nothing about it. But now that I see it and that you tell me about it, I'm like, oh my god, this is so amazing. This should be the way to experience it. I full-heartedly agree. So, yeah, sadness that it can't actually be a real thing that you can get and, you know, pay your dues to the people who made it happen. So, yeah, it was bad. Right, so dispersing along with the shadow of the black dragon as golden flower petals scattered, Shinomiya Kinzo became a gold-colored cyclone and disappeared. Even after death, you fought for the sake of the woman you loved. Your love and madness were, without a doubt, the real thing.
Batora.
If they do make an English port, I'll buy it in a heartbeat, almost as fast as Mother 3. Yeah, I would too. Steam has the original art. Does it though? Because as far as I'm told, the original art was not that. But yeah, okay, it's good to have options, I get it. But still, this is just, it's so good that it boggles my mind that it's not a thing. It has both of them. Ah, okay.
恨むな。死者は眠らせろ。
Alright, it has both. Okay. And then that slipped through the cracks and didn't attach itself to my long-term memory. I have committed it now. Thank you.
起こすな。次こそは。これでお前も最後だ。
Beto still couldn't pull out the blue wedge that pierced her foot. Beto realized that she was on the verge of death.
お前には随分と付き合ったぜ。お前の遊び相手としての義理は十分果たしたはずだ。だがそろそろお片付けの時間だぜ。家で寂しがり屋の妹が待ってるんだ。家族揃っておいとまさせてもらうぜ。
ならば殺せ。ならばわらわを殺してみせよ。逃げも隠れもせぬ。今や避けることもかなわぬわ。来い後ろ宮バトラー。
Sometimes he has both at the same time, as characters like Masawa-san's and Nanjo's sons weren't given new sprites, so they show up in full original glory next to new engine. Ah, I see. New PC sprites have cool CGs. I will post on the screen. Yeah, go for it. I'm sorry, Bear. Okay, I'll continue.
おう、金蔵死亡説による18人目の X により残り全てを貫く。第4のゲームにおけるジョージの兄貴とジェシカの死も X が犯人で説明できる。地下牢から逃げて殺された5人も園芸倉庫の2人も最後のマリアも全て18人目の X で説明できる。何もおかしなことはない。以上にて全てのゲームにおける犯人の説明を人間にて完了する。
If it were that easy, then we wouldn't have some answer arcs to go through, which make up more than 50% of the game, I guess. So, yeah, alright. I'm not very excited right now.
これでチェックメイトだ。
I do like Battler's confidence. I give that full points. Take a shot every time Battler said X, or 18, or 18th person, or both. He's come a long way. He has. Several blue stakes were driven into Beatrice, who could not dodge, skewering her. Beto grabbed the stakes, trying to pull them out somehow.
食らっちまった。痛えよ。こりゃ死ぬな。こいつを引き抜かなきゃ死んじまう。痛いのは嫌だ。辛いのは嫌だ。
Beto's time to be impaled by stakes. I derived no pleasure from watching this unfold. Like none whatsoever. No matter how much I didn't like her or found her obnoxious, that doesn't mean this gives me any sort of pleasant feelings. With both hands, Beto firmly grasped one of the blue stakes. Naturally, the power of the blue truth to deny witches burned her hands. Unable even to hide her tears at the pain, Beto howled and tried to pull the stakes out with all her might.
これが抜けなきゃ死んでしまう。これが最後の反撃ならバトラー。
Yeah, I know, crying wolf, can't trust after episode 3. I know. It's not that. It's just that everything so far has been built around causing pain, very brutal murders, a lot of, I don't even know what the right word to put it is, but just complete disregard for the sanctity of human life. And I've been so appalled and just didn't like that at all. that I cannot be on the side of like, oh no, yeah, now it's bad teacher who's suffering, so this is good. You know? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't know. I don't know, I'm very conflicted.
我が魔法の数々をどう説明するのか。一番最初に登場したのは第2のゲームにおいてわらわがマリアのかぼちゃのマシュマロを直してやった時だ。この時ローザはその魔法を確かに目撃している。
Certainly, Rosa had witnessed gold butterflies gather and pick some marshmallow by the miracle of magic.
ローザ一人の目撃では信憑性がないであろう。だからわらわはその目撃者を極限まで増やしたのだ。それこそが今回のゲームよ。我が眷属たちの召喚、そして魔法による虐殺、それらの全てを大勢の人間たちに目撃させた。それこそが我が魔法の存在する証明。これをどう説明するのか。後ろ宮バトラー。
ステイルメイト。魔法があるから魔法はある。そういう論法にはできないってのが俺たちのブラウン管裁判のルールのはずだぜ。
I was about to say the brown tip trial. I don't need to say anything, Battler will say it for me. It seems we are in a lot of places on the same wavelength. I don't disagree with what you wrote there. What I'm trying to say is that we've seen the value of human life completely disregarded, and people supposedly revived and killed over and over and over and over again with a deep pleasure for causing that pain to them. But that doesn't mean I enjoy seeing similar pain being inflicted upon Betiche. I feel like there's something there that I cannot vibe with. Although, okay, sure, maybe it's just a metaphor for the fact that by trying to win the game and denying her, we're actually killing her because we're denying her existence. Sure, fine. Personally, I don't relish at the sight of these scenes, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. Because in a way, we or I would be rejoicing, inflicting the same thing upon her that I didn't like seeing her inflicting upon the humans. Which doesn't align, doesn't work. But okay.
そうだったな。
誰が？何人？魔法を目撃しようともそれは魔法の存在の証明にはならない。俺はお前が見せてきた全ての魔法の存在するしないの遺憾にかかわらずその全てを無視して人間で説明することができる。
Yeah, like the tower thing scene, which will always haunt me because it was like, oh my god, now towers are sprouting out of the ground. Yeah, so she showed it to us, but the aftermath the next day when it was investigated in the same area, I was like, okay, but there's nothing that remains to support the crazy thing that you painted in front of our eyes as if it had happened. I don't really know what words to use to describe what's happening in these worlds or in these game boards. You know what I mean. Yeah. So in a way, Beatrice is showing all of these things off to this degree. Sure, it just increases the level of ridiculousness and makes it very difficult to explain it away, but that in itself is not a proof that magic exists. Right? That's what we're trying to do, right?
俺の不可侵の権利である。違ったか。
At those words, the blue stakes let out an even brighter light, repelling my hands away.
やはり抜けぬか。
As Battler is now, even if I cited each individual piece of magic and demanded an explanation for each, he would probably use any means available to him to deny all of them. Not just the marshmallow magic that I showed Rosa, but all of my magical miracles. I can no longer even claim to be a witch without entering into debates about how something like a marshmallow was fixed. I am in such an inferior position that I am forced to fight over trivialities like that.
わらわは無理かもしれぬ。わかっている。もとより価値のなきゲームだったのだ。なればいつか敗れる日が来るのは当然のこと。わらわはバトラに敗れるためだけに今日までを戦ってきたというのか。勝てるかもしれないと始めたゲームだった。簡単には勝てなくても無限に繰り返すゲームの中でいつかは奇跡が起こると信じてた。何しろわらわには絶対に勝つという絶対の意志がある。しかし今やその奇跡は完全に失われた。そして絶対の意志はバトラに宿り、私には万一の奇跡も絶対にない。
Why was it needed to say watashi above me? Huh?
いや、
What?
奇跡も絶対もないが正しいのか。
Ah, because she usually refers to herself as the other thing. Fuck, I cannot pronounce it right. The olden kind of thing to refer to herself, right? Yeah. Warawawa, something like that, yeah. I cannot pronounce it properly. I don't have proper Japanese pronunciation, especially with those words. Yeah, okay, interesting. But I don't know what that means, okay? I noticed it, but I don't know what to do with that, okay?
勝利はなく引き分けによる終了もない。
I love the wara wara. That other thing. It's not wara wara, but yeah.
唯一許された決着、敗北を与えられるまで永遠と抗うだけのゲーム。そうさ、私はバトラに殺されるためだけに。
I looked into Battler's eyes. It was not me inside them. Reflected in those eyes were the figures of the little sister waiting for his return, and the family he had to bring back to her. He no longer sees me, even as an individual. Of course he doesn't. From the very beginning, he has been fighting to deny the individual I am.
前回のゲームは面白かったな。ちょっと騙しただけだったけど、ほんのわずかの間だけでも分かり合えたような感じになって、 面白かったな。
I have a lot of thoughts about that.
そうだよ。あそこで手を打っておけばよかったんだよ。バトラがコロッと騙されたまま永遠に騙し続けてればよかったんだ。
There it is again, sign. Yes.
でもダメなんだよな。あれじゃ本当の勝ちじゃないんだよな。
これでチェックメイトか、ベアトリーチェ。
Run through with several blue stakes, Beato was still in a standing position, skewered to the ground many times over. Unable even to fall over because of this. And still looking up into the sky, she was sewn in place. I could cry. I don't like this. Her tragic form might have been a fitting end for the cruel witch who had endlessly toyed with 18 people's lives and who had killed constantly for hundreds and thousands of years. Gently, as though someone was mourning for something, rain began to fall. Amid that rain, Beato was exposed to the elements, crucified. Right.
終わりなのか、ベアト。
グーの音も出ぬわ。
まだだろ。お前はこの程度で終わる女じゃねえだろ。
無茶を言う。この姿がどう見たら終わっていないように見え。早くとどめを刺せよ。言っちまえよ。お前の青き真実で以上により魔女は存在しないって言っちまえよ。その一撃で私の息の根を止め。
ダメだな。
ほう、わらわにこれ以上生き恥をさらせというのか。すでに決着はついておろうに。
立てよ。俺たちの殴り合いはまだ終わってない。
まだ。
お前のそれは負けじゃない。もうやめたと投了しているだけだ。
いいではないかよ。投了でそれでそなたの勝ちだろうが。とっとと妹のところへ帰るがいい。わらわなどこの場に打ち捨てていけ。
俺は言ったはずだ。逃げない。そしてお前を逃がさないとな。お前は何者だ。そして一体何が望みだったんだ。
それが知りたくばそなたのお箱でも試せばよい。いいではないか。ただの妄想幻想。それでいいではないか。
全然ダメだぜ。俺はお前を逃がさない。俺はお前を打ち破る。このまま逃がしてなるもんか。お前をうやむやにしたまま幻想の暗闇に逃げ帰らせばしない。打ち破る。完全にな。だから立て。弱々しいふりなんかするな。お前はまだなんてか隠してる。俺にはわかる。
なぜおとなしく見逃してくれぬのか。
親父を、お袋を、そしてエンジェを、いとこのみんなや親族のみんなを そして使用人のみんなをお前はあれだけもてあそんで殺した。その非道を俺は絶対に忘れない、許さない。俺の肩にはよ、まだエンジェの腕の感触が残ってるんだよ。俺はお前の非道を許さない。だからそんなことで逃がさない。
Battler's eyes burned with the flames of hatred. The days when I could earn his passion by appearing frail are now a matter of the distant past. Having been tricked once, Battler will never sympathize with me again.
狼と羊のパズルどころか、これじゃ狼少年だな。どうすればいいんだよ。どうすれば。負けを認めぬためだけに無限に戦うのも、無限の魔女にふさわしき無限の拷問か。バトラに勝利を与えぬために無限に嫌がらせを繰り返すのもまた。悲しいな。こんなのが無限の魔法なのか。もう嫌だ。魔女たちに無限に玩具にされるなんてもう嫌だ。勝ちはなく引き分け終了もない。ならばわらわを解放してくれる結末は魔女の道に落ちた時から、悪魔と契約をしたその日から、末路は悲劇であると。
どうした？黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ。六軒島の支配者ならば最後もそれにふさわしい貫禄を見せてみろ。
Lightning. The world was smashed with white. Fitting last moments for the ruler of Rokkenjima. Still pierced by the blue stakes, Beato faced the rainy sky and let out a laugh. Then she slowly raised her face and fixed her eyes on Battler.
愚か者め、そなたの健闘をたたえ、勝ちを譲ってやろうと思ったのに慢心したな。
それは譲られるものじゃねえ。お前から奪い取るものだ。お前だってそうだろうが。俺が魔女はいてもいいかななんて言い出す、そんな甘っちょろい勝ち方が納得できなかったから、前回はわざとああして最後にぶっ壊してくれたんだろうが。
These two Battler gets the potions, maybe?
そうさ。俺は前回お前に一度情けをもらってたんじゃねえか。だからその借りをこれで返す。俺の仇、俺の黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェ。
My golden witcher. Okay, Battler. Alright.
バカがバカが愚か者が、二度とチャンスがあると思うな。
When Battle yelled, the blue stakes that had been piercing her chest blew to bits and disappeared. However, the blue wedge that had pierced her foot in the very beginning did not disappear.
まだ抜けてないぜ。18人目の X の青き真実が抜けていない。
そなたの復讐要求の一つに応じる。そなたの推理通り、 全ゲームの開始時に金蔵はすでに死んでいる。
Sucks for some things, but okay.
しかしならばつまりは一人を抜かせばよいこと。わらわはこれまでこの島には19人以上の人間は存在しないと宣言してきた。
Okay.
それを金蔵の分一人減らす。この島には18人以上の人間は存在しない。以上とはつまり18人目を含めるぞ。つまり18人目の X は存在しない。これは全ゲームに共通することである。
そら見ろ。やっぱりまだ。とんでもねえ奥の手を隠してやがったぜ。17人しか人間のいない島が18人と偽られてきた。それが1人減って17人になり、ようやく正しい数になったってわけだ。これだ。お前をぶち抜いていたくさびが抜かれたな。戦いはゼロから仕切り直しってわけだ。
Went from 19 to 17. Yeah, here we are. Come a long way. The blue wedge that had sewn Bato in place broke apart. There was no longer anything piercing in Bato. The scars on her body had disappeared completely. There, just as Battler had hoped for, stood the imposing figure of the golden witch who ruled Rokkenjima.
さあ来いバトラー。
Person next son, no.
もう一度最初からだ。全てについて青き真実で打ち抜いてみよ。わらわももはや遊ばぬ。逃げもせぬ。隠れもせぬ。そなたが不甲斐ないならばこの勝負この場にて決着してくれようぜ。
Oh man.
わらわの譲り勝利にて妥協しなかったことを永遠に後悔させてくれる。さあ第一のゲームからだ。
おう！第一のゲーム、第一の番からだ。
My last chance to end stream today, but it's under 2 hours. I started late, so I don't know. Nah, it's okay. Let's keep going for a bit longer. Endless stream. It's fine.
最初の園芸倉庫で見つかった親族6人の殺人に不審な点はない。
Nothing strange about the murder of the 6 relatives that were found in the gardening shed in the beginning.
アリバイのない誰にでも犯行は可能だった。
Alright. Oh god. Don't make me regret this decision. Okay.
有効だ。続けるぞ。次のエヴァ夫婦の密室殺人はどうか。チェーンまでかかった密室であったぜ。赤き真実を追加する。
Oh my god, sorry, so sorry.
二人は他殺である。密室構築後に片方を殺害の後に自殺したのではない。また殺人は執行者犠牲者が共に同室して行われた。執行者が室外から殺害する手段は存在しない。
犯人にはアリバイのない人間を想定する。それは死者だ。最初の6人の死体の中には顔面粉砕による身元不明死体が含まれる。これが実は偽装死体で、犠牲者のふりをして姿をくらました犯人 X が、そして犯人は密室殺人構築後ベッドの下に隠れ俺たち全員をやり過ごしたんだ。
よかろう、次だ。 ボイラー室に至ったカノンが殺されたな。赤き真実を追加する。全ての生存者にアリバイがある。さらに死者も含めようぞ。つまり島のいかなる人間にも死者にもカノンは殺せなかった。
誰にも殺せないなら自分で殺したということはあるかもな。
The one thing I feared the most.
ならカノン君は自殺かもしれない。副将要求、カノン君は自殺ではない。
カノンは自殺ではない。
重ねるぜ。副将要求、カノン君は他殺された。
副将を拒否する。
その拒否で他殺を認めることも可能だが、お前はすでに赤で誰にも殺せなかったと宣言している。
I mean, if we are to check the exact words, this is where my headache begins. This is... So what did she say exactly? No kind of human or dead person on the island could have killed Kanon. No kind of human or dead person. When you phrase it like that, what does that exclude?
つまり他殺ではないんだ。これは第3のゲームの連鎖密室と同じなのさ。カノン君は自殺でも他殺でもない理由で死亡したんだ。状況は不明だが事故死というわけさ。胸に杭がぶち込まれて死んでしまうような、どのようなドジを踏んで事故死に至ったかについての説明は悪魔の証明により説明拒否。
ほほう、悪魔の力を身につけたそなたは今や敵なしだな。
Okay.
有効であるぞ。ならばその後の客間にての源氏、南條、熊沢の3名の殺
Kanon's a
人は
very
どうか。
clumsy boy. I love him so much. I don't want him to be a murderer, but you know, who knows?
無論同室していたマリアは殺していないぞ。
Ah, yeah, at the end when yeah, okay, I remember now. Man, I have to like actually take a second to remember.
そしてもちろん3人は他殺だ。
殺人を実行したのは身元不明死体で姿をくらました犯人 X で説明できる。そもそもあの3人の顔面も粉砕されていた。どれかが替え玉死体の可能性は十分にある。
身元不明死体についてその身元を全て保証する。すなわち替え玉トリックは存在しない。
ならば相打ち殺人で説明できる。3人はそれぞれに銃を持って時計回りに突きつけ、同時に相手の顔面を吹き飛ばした。
The Spider-Man meme comes to mind right now. Oh god.
その後マリアがその銃を回収して隠した。これならどうだ。
なんという暴論。
I mean, as long as it works.
気に入った。ならば最後の夏日は赤き真実を追加。夏日は他殺である。身元不明死体は一切なく、生存者も全員がアリバイがある。
トラップ X による間接殺人で説明できる。夏日おばさんの銃に細工がされてたんだ。あの銃は構えて撃った人間のちょうど眉間に弾をくれてやるように作られた罠の銃だったとすれば説明できる。
夏日の額に埋まりし銃弾は夏日の銃から放たれたものではない。
夏日おばさんは内容不明の手紙によりおびき出された可能性がある。そしてオールに呼び出された。そして特定の時刻に特定の場所に立つように強いられて、あらかじめ設置してあった銃を利用したトラップ X により殺害されたんだ。
素晴らしい。そなたの暴論はもはや心地よくすらある。敬意を表し第一のゲームをそなたに譲ろうぜ。感服したわ。
The sound effects. The instant Beto admitted defeat in the first game, the stakes of Blue Truth once again pierced her chest, letting out a terrible sound. Is Battler gonna get impaled as well if he loses a game? Oh my god.
これくらいでは答えぬわ。まだまだ来い。第2のゲームだ。
Beto just barely pulled the stakes that had pierced her chest out. But even though there was no hole left behind, it seemed to be a deep wound which let out a massive amount of blood. And an intense pain of equal measure tormented her. But Beto grinned, grinding her teeth, and pushed for the next game to start. But I won't feel any sympathy. Just by her existing there, we will be killed and made to suffer over and over. And Enji will be burdened with the future of isolation.
そうとも。わらわがここにいて、ただ笑うだけでも永遠の地獄は続く。そなたを妹に返しはしない。妹は帰らぬ家族に1000年の間泣き続ければよい。
畜生が情けも容赦もしねえぜ。第2のゲームだ。まずは最初の事件だ。6人が殺された礼拝堂での密室殺人については当時の俺がすでにカンパしている。マリアの鍵を何者かが密かに拝借し、事件終了後に密かにマリアのカバンに戻したんだ。
マリアの鍵はマリア受領後から翌日のローザ開封の瞬間まで誰の手にも渡っていない。
ジジイの書斎と同じ構造で礼拝堂の扉がオートロックだった可能性がある。つまり事件前に開錠しておいて扉が閉まりきらないように石でも挟んでおいた。そして鍵をマリアに預けた。施錠はオートのため鍵は必要なかったとの仮説もあり得る。
金蔵の書斎以外にオートロックの扉は存在しない。
扉は犠牲者たちが内側から閉めたんだ。6人の中に犯人がいて5人を殺し死んだふりをしていた。
6人は発見時にすでに全員死亡していた。全員が他殺だ。6人は全員が純粋な犠牲者であり、相互の殺人には関与しない。相打ち殺人は存在しない。
熊沢さんをはじめ当時アリバイがない人間が存在した。そんな誰かが6人を殺し内側に隠れていたと仮定すれば問題ない。
あの礼拝堂には誰も隠れていなかった。よってその引きこもり密室は通用しない。どうしたよ後宮バートラー。それで終わりか。第2のゲームからは甘くないぜ。
A tremendous exchange of red and blue truth. The stakes and wedges of blue truth that I sent flying darted at Beto one after the other, and one after another Beto cut them down with her red truth, her red treasured sword, knocking them out of the air. But the blood she had lost from the first game was probably awful. This intense exercise was putting her under even greater strain. I could see her breath growing ragged. That's why I can't hold back now. I'll corner that witch. And this time, I'll break through her.
まだだぜ。ああ、ダメだ。全然ダメだ。
He said the line.
俺のへりくつは終わっちゃいねえぜ。ならばこれはどうだ。彼らに与えられた飲食物に小型爆弾が入っていて、つまりトラップ X による犯行の可能性。気づかずに飲み込んで腹をぶちまけるような爆弾の詳細については
Everyone's excited about the small bombs, okay. What? Oh my god, I never in a million years would have been able to come up with this kind of theory. I'm so inadequate in this context to come up with creative ways in which people can be murdered. And to be honest, I'm okay with that. I'm okay that my mind can concoct it. I'm good. I'm good. I'll just listen to whatever battler comes up with. Battler Crazy Twisted Logic at its finest. When I first read it, I said that's basically a magic battler. I wouldn't go that far. I do believe that it's fine for Battler to not put the burden on himself to explain in full detail how those things would work, because Beatrice doesn't have that burden on her shoulders. She's like, I just did it by magic. I don't know, flicked an arrow through a keyhole or whatever. She can say stuff like that, so I feel like it's uneven that Battler had to explain in absolute detail how stuff would work. He just needs to make a compelling argument for the possibility of those things existing, I would say. But Dato failed to knock down the blue wedge as it flew at an angle like a curveball. It let out a loud thunk and gouged itself deeply into her left shoulder. However, despite being on the receiving end of it, it seemed she couldn't stop laughing at how much of a curveball it was. Yeah, no wonder. Even I'm amazed at how screwed up this reasoning is. Oh yeah, that creepy thing. Oh lord. She didn't deny it, small bombs confirmed. I think it's been clarified so far that Beatrice can choose to strategically not deny something. So I want to believe in small bombs. There's just too many details that are intentional in the murders, okay? Small bombs exploding don't really explain the candy and all of the other bullshit around it, so yeah. But the thing is, I've already accepted it. Like, this game is not necessarily about explaining everything in detail about what happened. It's just, I guess, a battle between Battler being able to put up compelling logical reasonings why a human could have done it, right? As opposed to Beatrice just claiming that it was done by magic. So that is different. It's a separate thing from explaining in detail how things actually happened. And I'm fine with that.
カノンの死亡はあの時刻以前に赤で宣言済みだった。ならばあのカノンは何者だというのか。
One thing I do not like is this whole thing of like doubles and this person claiming to be the other person but actually not being them, and it's just without love small bombs cannot explode. Good one, Iris Moth. Very, very good. This whole thing with like body doubles, people looking like others but not being them, it's It's one thing that like gives me headaches, and I don't know how to contend with it.
カノン君の死亡は赤で宣言済みならば生きているわけがない。よって襲われた彼らがカノン君と誤認するような何者かの変装の可能性がある。
Yeah, but like, what kind of disguise are we talking? Are we talking like Mission Impossible kind of disguise, or what even is this? You know?
彼らは異なる人物。カノンと誤認することは絶対にない。
ならば金蔵の名の世襲と同じにカノンの名が世襲された可能性がある。
Now it's not just the name of Beatrice being passed down, all of the names are being inherited, and somehow people, dare I say, magically just accept a new person as the other just because now there's some weird way of claiming their name. I'm sorry, it's funny. Sorry. Kanon's name is passed through generations now. Yes.
カノン君が殺され別の人物がその名を受け継ぎ彼らを襲ったと仮定できる。
I'm enjoying though that Battler is not giving up, and he's just throwing ridiculousness at Beatrice, just like Beatrice has been throwing ridiculousness at us. And actually, I vibe with that. It's all cool. Go for it, Battler. I'm all for it. It's really entertaining. A sound like a watermelon being squashed rang out, and the blue wedge was very deep into Battle's left flank. It looked like she felt that one. Maybe it hit her in a bad spot. After leaning over and moaning for a while, she laughed it off as though trying to make it seem like no big deal. Yeah, I can tell. That must have hurt like a bitch.
またしてもこともなげに人間の誰かを犯人に仕立ててきやがったぜ。ゲーム盤上では口が裂けても言えぬことを実にシャーシャーとのたまう。しかし有効だ。その暴言心地よし。心地よいぞ。これは痛みではない。心地よさだ。
When Battle howled, the wedge that had pierced her was blasted away. But the wound remained and continued tormenting her with intense pain.
いいのか？続けていくぜ。第2のゲームの最後の殺人。夏日おばさんの部屋で死んだ3人についての青き真実は、18人目の X を否定されても有効のはず。赤で反論はあるか？なければ。第2のゲームも俺のものだ。
ああ、ないぞ。そのようなさまつで戦うのもつまらない。くれてやる。第2のゲームなぞ貴様にくれてやるわ。
I'm still wondering, is she actually putting up a fight? Or is she just trying to give the impression that she's putting up a fight? There's too many levels of rigorous psychology in that. I don't know if my brain wants to contend with it. I think not. The instant she admitted defeat in the second game, this time 2 blue stakes gouged through Battle's chest. The witch's lungs were gouged and her intestines. Great, thank you! The witch's face twisted in anguish. Her body twisted as she gasped in pain.
痛えのか?
For reasons already explained, I take no pleasure in this. This is not necessarily something I ever wanted.
痛い？いやいや、くすぐったいくらいよ。 全身を細切れにされてくず肉の山にされたお前の妹に比べればな。お前もくず肉にしてやるぞ。兄弟仲良く混ぜて合いびきにしてくれるわ。
ぶち殺してやる。お前を同じ細切れにしてやる。次だ。第3のゲームだ。いつまでへばってやがる。てめえを地獄に叩き落としてやるのは
無論よ、これくらいでへばるものか。そうとも、まだまだこれからよ。さあ、第3のゲームを始めようぞ。まずは最初の6連結の連鎖密室。本来ならこの密室はそなたが当時にカンパしている。しかしそなたは金蔵を殺してしまった。
Have we reached peak anime? Oh, Zeku. I mean, I think she can cackle like a witch in any circumstance. It's like the signature Beatrice sound. It would be weird if she didn't. Then I would have questions. At the time I hypothesized that Gramps was the culprit, and that after killing the other 5 and stringing the keys across each room, he constructed his own locked room and the boiler room, where in the middle of carrying out some kind of scheme, he had an accident which resulted in him burning to death in the boiler. But now I've gone and declared that Gramps was already dead, so I've denied my own theory. The irony. However,
問題ない。
I mean, we talked about it back then. What I remember is that because they were circular like that, any of them, breaking open any of the rooms unfolds the others as well, so Kinzo just happened to be the easiest, I guess. Maybe the lowest hanging fruit at the time. When Beatrice stopped cackling is when I would start worrying about her. Yeah, exactly. But actually the first thing I would worry about is she planning a trick again?
ジジイ以外にも犯行可能な人間は大勢いる。親族会議中だった大人たちが全員グルで犯行に及んだとさえ言い切れる。
マスターキー5本は全て5人の使用人の懐よりそれぞれ発見された。個別の鍵は死体の傍らの封筒の中に。つまり連鎖密室に関わる全ての鍵が連鎖密室内に閉じ込められていたわけだ。ドアの隙間だの窓の隙間だの通気口だの、そんなところを使って密室外から鍵を戻すことなどできるぞ。
なら毒ガスで殺したんだ。鍵は通らなくてもガスなら通るぜ。密室の外から殺人を実行したんだ。
彼ら全員には致命傷となった重曹と思わしき傷は室外からの殺害は不可能だぞ。さらに赤を重ねようぞ。金蔵を除く5人の殺人の際、殺人者は必ず同室していた。自殺者がいないことは当時に赤で宣言済みだ。
犯人は全員をそれぞれの部屋で殺害後連鎖密室を構築した。しかし最後の部屋の鍵だけはどうしても密室内に戻せない。だが戻すことはできたぜ。死体の第一発見者が鍵を見つけたふりをして誰かの死体のポケットから取り出してみせればいいからだ。
She couldn't fully block that blue stick's retort. Pushed back by the blue wedges unleashed one after another, Beto finally failed to block one and once again took a severe wound. As she howled in pain, she pulled out the blue wedge that had pierced her right arm. Beto's entire body had been slashed and pierced with blue wedges, stakes, and blades over and over again, and by now her whole body was covered in blood. But even so, Beto grinned, cackled as though she was enjoying it.
エンジェル、 親を連れ戻して帰宅すると約束した男がどの口で親を犯人にした説を語るというのか。いいぜ、それでもいいんだぜ。家族で仲良く大量殺人に手を染めて、決して落ちぬ血にまみれながらエンジェのところに帰れよ。それでこそ魔女の島からの生還者にお似合いだぜ。クズ肉エンジェにぴったりだ。
Butler just accused Rudolph of being the killer, lol. He was the first to enter the room through the window. Yeah, I was just now racking my brains to remember who was the first to discover anything. I guess that's the answer. It was so long ago.
黙りやがれ！てめえを殺せ！バラバラにして殺せ！命乞いの必要はねえぜ。絶対にこの手で最悪の死を与えてやる！
ああ、そなたならできるだろうよ。千年の果てに残虐の限りを尽くしきったわらわに、それに見合う最後を与えてくれるだろうよ。ああ、それは痛いのか、辛いのか、それともくすぐったいのかな。これくらいで答えるかよ。来いよ、後ろ宮バトラー。まだ謎は残ってるぜ。
Beto had already countered my first powerful move, the 18th person X, by making the number of people on the island 17. But just limiting the number of people to 17 doesn't overturn the theory that Aunt Eva is the culprit. I can crush most of the murders in the third game with that theory. Blood was dripping from all over the body of the Golden Witch. I was cornering her, and this time completely without mercy. This isn't a game played only to determine a winner and a loser. Yeah, we're not playing around here. Even just playing and fighting like this here delays the trip home. In her isolation, Angel will continue to have her heart torn apart by loneliness and sadness. I have to go back to Angel as fast as I can.
ボロボロだな。虫の息ってやつか。
まだまだ答えぬわ。これくらい。こそばよいわ。
いらねえようだな、容赦。
元よりそのつもりもなかろうが。
存分に行くぜ。
そうせよ。逆の立場だった時、わらわは容赦しなかった。だからそなたもそのチャンスがあったならそうするべきであろうが。じゃないとまた別の世界の孤独な演者を呼んで。
She really knows how to, like, not just rub salt on the wound, but like just stick her fingers in and twist.
今度は獅子を引きちぎって槍に刺して炙り焼きにしちまうぜ。
Okay.
黙れ！もう二度と俺の家族も親族も、そして使用人のみんなもお前のおもちゃにはさせねえぜ。俺はすでに第4のゲームの謎も全て青き真実で打ち破っている。残る謎は第3のゲームの一番最後、南條先生の殺人だけだぜ。
おや、わらわはもうそんなところまで追い詰められてわらわも風前の灯火であるな。
She coughed violently, spitting up blood. Her insides had been punched through so many times. It was only natural.
ということは、この南條先生殺しの謎だけがお前が魔女であることの最後の防衛戦ってことになるな。
そうなるな。 これを破られたのだ。わらわは全ての謎を破られたことになる。そなたの真実のいずれかを新しき赤き真実で反論するか、新しき謎を提示しない限りわらは死ぬ。
追い詰められて風前の灯火って感じには見えねえぜ。まだ何か隠し玉を持ってやがるな。
さてどうかな。わらはもはや1000年の長すぎる生涯に空いている。
If it's done in 15 minutes, I can justify, let's say, staying up until midnight.
その果てに巡り合ったそなたという公的種によって生涯を閉じるのも悪くないと思い始めている。
No, just this section. No, I wouldn't jump into the question marks, no. Let's end me tonight. Oh,
そなたならやれるよな。やってくれよ。頼むよ。殺してくれよ。殺してばっかりでさ、殺された試しがねえんだよ。お前ら18人を幾百と殺してはきたけれど、殺された試しは一度もねえから、一回くら
Why
い
would she
は
want that?
経験してみてんだよ。
It was a graceless show of bravado, unchanged from before. But blood dripped from her mouth, her once beautiful dress was covered with holes, and blood poured from all over her body, making her physical appearance then very different from her attitude. Perhaps she was still suffering from the shots she'd taken to the flank. The way she was unconsciously clutching it lacked any trace of elegance. But there's no room for compassion. As long as I feel sympathy for this witch, my family and I won't be released from this place. Until I defeat her, we won't be able to go home. In this world we live in, even people who see each other as enemies can come to understand each other if the situation changes. But absolute evil does exist. Yeah, that is an evil which brings misfortune by its very existence and is to be spared no compromise. Just by continuing to exist, it is evil.
お前をアーレには思わない。お前が俺たちの誰にもあれまなかったように。
そうともさ。
I'm not against Battler's reasoning and also his stance of like, I will face you with everything that I have, particularly given everything that has happened thus far and her attitude towards the humans. All good there. I just find it really, really hard to believe, given everything that the novel has been so far, that it is dealing in absolute now. Right? Absolute evil. No, I don't think so, although I don't know exactly what it is. Because I feel I've been fed only question marks so far, but yeah. Not really that. Beatrice is an absolute evil being. She shouldn't exist. I don't really vibe with that, to be honest. I don't think that's quite it.
お前らな
Language.
ゲームの駒だぜ。毎回最初の6人は誰を殺そうかな、次の2人はどう殺そうかな、もっとグロい殺し方はねえかなって考えるのは最高に楽しいぜ。
She's doing it on purpose to provoke
なあ
him.
バトラよ、少し改心するから今回も許してくれよ。そしたらさ、もうちょっとマシな殺し方に変えてやるからよ。誰をどの順でどんな風に殺すか、お前の希望も楽しいぜ。 人の命をもてあそぶってのはよ。お前なら考えつくよ。エンジェをもっともっとクズ肉にしてやる方法はよ。来いよバトラー、南條殺し暴いてみろ。
The 18th person X was destroyed, but I won't give in. I'll stop that which is breathing cold. The end of the third game. It was declared in red that the 4 survivors at that point in time: Battler, Eva, Jessica, and Nanjo. Ah, Daisuke Ono, he is godly. Absolutely godly. Yes, I agree. I recognized his voice in Honkai the other day, and I was like, yeah, but I hear Battler in there. Like, it was very soothing because I could hear Battler through his voice. Very weird. It's hard to explain, but yeah. Yeah. Right, so Battler, Eva, Jessica, and Nanjo were all unrelated to Nanjo's murder. And it was also declared that he was murdered directly right before his eyes. All other people had the strongest alibi of having their deaths declared in red. Without using the 18th person X, I have to break through this. No, it's not poor range. I think it's like a bunch of his voices are coming from a completely different place than Battler. But because I've spent so much time with Battler, I feel like I can hear pieces of it, like, come through. It's so good. Anyway. Don't stop thinking. Her red doesn't only bind me, it's also supposed to be her weak point. Yes, and it's supposed to be like smoke and mirrors of like, think about this and look at this, but don't think about the other things that I'm not saying. I've got to somehow use it against her. That's right, there's still a gap. Yeah, this way I can break through it. Beatrice's legend of the witch is over. Okay, what is it?
確かに他の連中は死亡だったろうさ。だが赤で死亡を宣言されたのは南條先生が死んだ瞬間ではない。厳密に言えば南條先生の死体が見つかった後の俺とエヴァの戦いにおいてだ。つまり南條先生を殺した時点では生きていた何者かがエヴァの死亡宣言までの間に死亡していれば、その感激は縫えることになる。つまりはこういうことさ。エヴァの死亡宣言で初めて死亡とされた人物の中に犯人がいて、その人物は最初うまいこと死んだふりをして俺たちをやり過ごした。そして赤での死亡宣言がないまま俺たちには死んだと思い込ませた。そして南條先生を殺し、その後に何かの理由で死んだ。そしてその後にエヴァが赤で死亡宣言を出す。以上の仮説でも南條先生の事件は説明で。
How's that, Beatrice? Okay. When he forcefully asked that question, there was a terrible sound that could only be likened to that of a compressor, and a blue stake as thick as a log appeared from under the earth and skewered the golden witch Beato, pulling her up into the air. Ugly tearing sounds rang out one after another, and each time a blue stake or wedge appeared and impaled Beatrice's body. When it finally ended, her tragic form was exposed there, pincushioned by more than 10 stakes and wedges all over her body and dripping with blood, dangling and crucified. No, I don't like the visuals of this either, just like I didn't like the visuals of the others' deaths. There was none of the dignity of the brutal witch who had sneered at the honor of the dead and toyed with and killed hundreds of the living. The rain, which had started falling at some point, quietly tormented the crucified witch. As Battler heaved with his breathing, he waited for some kind of answer from the Golden Witch. Although it wasn't long, it took the witch at least a little bit of time before she showed any signs of life.
いてよ。
自業自得だぜ。お前が殺めてきた人々の痛みの一部を。
Even as he said that, it seemed Battler had lost a little of his forcefulness at this extremely pitiful sight. He couldn't help but avert his eyes from a woman exposed in such a brutal fashion, even if she was his enemy. But even so, unless he destroyed Beatrice, the battle wouldn't end.
バトラー、頼むよ。
Huh? Battle let out a sob.
いてよ。すげえ、いてよ。終わらせて。
Okay, I'm crying for Beatrice. This is new. Alright. Okay.
これでもまだ死ねねえんだよ。こんなに痛えのにまだ死ねねえんだよ。
俺に何を求めやがる。
終わらせて。この苦痛から解放して。
I guess lots of props to the voice actors because it's going to the very depths of my being and I'm not liking it one bit. Yeah, the music doesn't help either because it's such a hopeful piece of music juxtaposed with this. Beto's expression was a soggy mess of blood and tears. Certainly Battler had been tricked by her at one point, so he could probably have suspected her expression and even her tears of being an act. However, Battler believed those tears. After all, those tears had the red of truth mixed in with them.
どうすりゃいい？どうすればお前の痛みを終わらせられる？
今から全てを晒すから。それがわらわの心臓。
心臓？
どうして？
She used warawa there. I don't know what it means, but I noticed.
ベアト。
殺して。もう死ぬ。
Were those tears of pain and torment, or else... Either way, that pitiful expression was painful for Battler to look at, even after burning with such anger.
早くヘンゼのところに帰ってあげ。
帰るためじゃない。お前の痛みを止めるために。お前の願いを聞く。
ありがとう、バトラー。
With her last breaths, Beto summoned up all of her remaining strength and managed to close both of her hands into fists. A red light began to gather at those fists. Then she lifted her arms as though wishing for something from heaven.
バトラーならこ
Hey, Dezo, hi! Ah.
私のすべて心臓を潰して
Why?
貫いて
Why to this extent? I just can't wrap my head around it. The red light around both her arms got stronger and stronger.
おね
She got that far into the word, and then her face tilted to the side a bit. Her right arm lost its light and flopped down. But her left arm alone did not lose its light and remained held up towards the heavens. Then, before Battler's eyes, another Bato appeared with a faint form transparent like a curtain. The crucified Bato had already lost consciousness. However, the newly appeared faint Bato quietly looked at me, her eyes expressionless, and spoke in an uncharacteristically polite tone.
後ろ宮バトル
Oh no.
今から私があなたを殺します
I understand nothing.
それ
Okay.
で
そしてたった今この島にはあなた以外誰もいませんこの島で生きているのはあなただけです島の外の存在は一切干渉できません
I understood. This was the only thing left keeping Beatrice a witch. The final mystery. And Beato was holding it out to me. Entreating me to solve her final mystery and kill her.
来いよ。お前の最後の謎。俺が受け取ってやる。
この島にあなたはたった一人そしてもちろん私はあなたではないなのに私は今ここにいてこれからあなたを殺します
I understand now, okay.
南條先生殺しの謎の強化版ってわけか。それで
So she's laying the grounds for this and that she's gonna kill him, so he wants to blast... Sorry, she wants him to blast with the blue truth through her red truth that she's laying out right now, right? Is that it? And that will be the coup de grace. The final thing that murders her, is that it? Is that it?
私は誰
それがお前の最後の出題なのか。
私は誰
Interesting. Then Beatrice slowly approached me. Okay, it's auto text. Okay. You read it. I'll read it probably in the VOD. My piece left the game board. Interesting. Okay. Saktaro. Interesting. Right after Maria. Very interesting.
そんなとこにはないのたどり着けない永遠に戻ることなどできないの後ろの道は消えてしまった出会うはずの二人道
I'm looking to see if there's anything interesting to pick up from these, but so far I have not noticed it. Such large names though. All the goats, I love it. I saw the date of death for Enji in 1998. I saw that one. I got it. Goats are goats. All the goats. Fourth game, Alliance of the Golden Witches. And that's it. I don't know who Beatrice is. Yeah. Next stream will be 10 minutes in the game. I don't know. The more I read, the more I feel like I don't know anything and I can't trust anything. I guess we'll see. Yeah, so we will pick up the question marks thingy next time. Easiest question ever, definitely. Thanks for the long stream. Yeah, it's okay. Next time I'll have a short stream though, okay? We compensate. There have been so many streams I have gone into overtime. Next time, please set me free. Right, I need to catch up with a few things in chat. There we are. What did I miss while the scrolling was happening? Yeah, and she used watashi for the question, didn't she? Very confusing. 17 people. Who is bad teacher? God knows. You mentioned the injury thing. Yeah, I noticed it. The lyrics of the music are very cool. I'm going to post on. Yes, please. I didn't pay attention to the lyrics at all. I was looking at the credits. After 4 chapters, Battler finally didn't get humiliated at the end. Yeah, at least we have that. At least one thumbs up. Dezo missed the small bombs. It's okay. The Who Am I panel in the manga is so beautiful too. Feel free to share it. You might have missed the date. Okay, no, I saw it. And the goats, and yeah, okay. I think I read everything else. I remember how confused I was. I'm personally very excited for the question marks. Okay, alright. The final riddle put the fandom in loops. Yeah, a veritable storm of red and blue. Battler wins, but at what cost? I wouldn't call that a win. I think that's the whole point of it. That's why we have so much more ahead of us, because that didn't feel like a win at all. Yeah. Enjoy, again, it's a relative term when it comes to this novel. I don't know if enjoying is the right word to use. Is it interesting? Is it tickling our brains? Is it making us wonder how everything else connects? Yeah. But is my heart ready for the answer arcs? Ours isn't. I'm ready for any kinds of answers. I've had it with the questions. Okay, it's enough. Yeah. I'll post all those red strips tomorrow. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't pressure yourself. Whenever you feel like it. If you feel like it, it's okay. There was a lot. There was a lot of it. So yeah, I don't even know. There are limits to how many things you can pin in the Discord channel, right? I don't know if we're gonna hit that limit at some point. There's just so much. The answer arcs is where Burn finally wakes up. Okay, I guess you'll be the happiest to get a little bit of Burn. Are you willing to do some kind of theory crafting or Q&A or something after the next stream? Just lots of general stuff for the question arc. I don't know, because I don't know if I have anything valuable to share. Right? So, not sure if it's even worth taking up your time with that. Yeah, great, fantastic. I have everything and I cannot make sense of it at all. That only wins to prove that the people that he trusts might be the criminal. Yeah. That's the thing with these kinds of situations. Somebody must be the criminal, so it's a hard it's a bitter pill to swallow, but eventually we have to wake up to the truth, although it's again, truth is also a weird word to use in the context of Umineko, because what if it is the truth? The biggest thing might be Kinzo being dead the whole time. Yeah, I mean, ever since it had been like thrown around, I had been thinking about it and toying with the idea of what does that mean. But because I can't make sense of what I'm supposed to do with scenes that we were shown of things happening. I'm supposed to just completely scrap it and be it like, oh, a brown tube trial, I don't need this. Or from this one I need this and that. And the thing that really breaks my heart is that I really, really like that scene with Natsuki in episode 1. And it was the one thing that was like, I really wish that were real, but if it weren't, or if that was... What was that even? What do I make of it? I don't know. You figured out the truth in episode 6? Oh, that's cool. Figuring out at any point in time is great. I have the feeling I will not. It's not precisely just the last chance to truly figure it all out on your own, but it's not like episode 5 immediately reveals everything either. Yeah, I'd rather not stress myself that way. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a semi-explicit warning to the reader on when the answers are going to be revealed. Oh, okay. Everyone feels sad over the Natsuki scene. It was such a good scene. Why are you taking everything that's... like, there's like little drops of really good things throughout this novel. And then the more we progress, the more we are made to question them or to feel like... did they even mean anything? And it's heartbreaking. Everything is heartbreaking. Lots of pain. I think the fun of Umineko is to make theories, even if they are stupid. Yeah. Like I said, when the small bombs came up, I don't have the imagination to come up with all of these things. I would just be... I don't know. Lots of props to Battler too, just... and completely churning those one after another, just... okay, cool. I couldn't. Yeah. Alright. We are way over time. I'm gonna go sleep now. Thank God the stream didn't break today. At least we have something. I used the server that Twitch recommended as the best for my region, so I'll do the same next time. I'll check before starting, so fingers crossed it doesn't happen again. For now, good night. Thank you for joining me, and I guess I'll see you next time with a bit of a shorter stream. Okay, in advance. I'll take my leave earlier. Nezutriche. I don't think I'm worthy of that name, but that's sweet of you. Thank you. Take care. Night night. Make sure there are no small bombs under my bed. That's okay. There aren't. Yeah, you two sleep well, guys. Take care of yourselves and see you in 2 days. Bye bye. Love you.